Think about the last time someone cut you off in traffic, or when someone said something hurtful to you, or when you were treated unfairly at work or school. What did you feel? Probably anger, right? Frustration, maybe rage. Now imagine someone who, in those exact same situations, feels nothing, no anger, no rage, just calm. You might know someone like this. That person who never seems to get mad, no matter what happens, no matter how unfair things get. They just stay composed, peaceful, unbothered. And you've probably wondered, how do they do it? Are they suppressing their emotions? Are they secretly seething inside? Or are they genuinely that calm? Maybe you've even felt a little suspicious. Because let's be honest, in a world where everyone gets angry, someone who never does seems unusual, almost unnatural. Welcome to Mind Reversed, where we explore the fascinating psychology behind everyday behaviors. Today, we're diving deep into the minds of people who never get angry. We'll uncover what's really happening beneath that calm exterior, whether it's healthy or harmful, and what we can learn from these remarkably composed individuals. By the end of this video, you'll understand the psychology, the neuroscience, and the truth about anger, or the lack of it. Let's dive in. Before we can understand people who don't get angry, we need to understand anger itself. Anger is one of our most basic emotions. It's hardwired into our brains, part of our evolutionary survival system. When our ancestors faced threats, anger prepared them to fight back. It increased heart rate, pumped adrenaline, sharpened focus, all designed to help us confront danger. In your brain, anger involves multiple regions. The amygdala, your emotional alarm system, detects threats and triggers the anger response. Your hypothalamus releases stress hormones. Your prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain, is supposed to regulate this response, but when anger is strong, it often gets overridden. Psychologically, anger serves important functions. It signals that something is wrong. It motivates us to address injustice. It helps us set boundaries. It communicates our needs and protects our well-being. From an evolutionary perspective, anger was adaptive. Groups with members who could get angry to defend themselves and their loved ones had better survival rates. So anger isn't bad. It's natural, it's human, it's necessary. Which makes people who never get angry so fascinating. Because they're missing, or suppressing, or transcending something that's supposed to be fundamental to human nature. But here's what most people don't understand. There's a huge difference between never getting angry and never showing anger. Some people genuinely don't feel anger. Others feel it but have learned to manage it so well that it's invisible to others. And some are suppressing it in ways that are actually quite harmful. Understanding which type someone is makes all the difference. Not all calm people are calm for the same reasons. Let's break down the different types. Type 1, the emotionally regulated master. These are people who feel anger like everyone else, but they've developed exceptional emotional regulation skills. They feel the anger rising, they acknowledge it, and then they consciously process it in healthy ways. This isn't suppression. They're not bottling it up. They're experiencing the emotion, understanding what it's telling them, and then choosing how to respond rather than reacting impulsively. Psychologically, this is the healthiest type. Research shows that people with high emotional regulation have better mental health, stronger relationships, and greater life satisfaction. These individuals often have developed this skill through therapy, meditation, mindfulness practices, or simply years of conscious effort. They understand that feeling anger and expressing it destructively are two different things. If you're this type, you might notice anger as a physical sensation, tension in your chest, heat in your face, but you have tools to process it. You might take deep breaths, reframe the situation, or express your feelings calmly and assertively. The key characteristic: you acknowledge the anger. You don't pretend it doesn't exist. Type 2, the naturally low anger temperament. Some people are just born with a different temperamental wiring. They have what psychologists call low negative affectivity. They naturally experience fewer intense negative emotions, including anger. This is biological. Brain imaging studies show that some people have less reactive amygdalas. Their emotional alarm system just doesn't fire as intensely. These people aren't working hard to stay calm. Calm is their default state. Things that would infuriate most people just don't affect them the same way. They genuinely don't understand what the big deal is. This can actually create challenges in relationships because others might feel like they don't care enough about important issues. But it's not that they don't care. Their emotional intensity is just calibrated differently. If you're this type, you've probably been called too chill or laid back to a fault. People might even get frustrated with you for not getting angry when they think you should. Type 3. The philosophical acceptor. These are people who have adopted a worldview that makes anger feel unnecessary or pointless. They might be influenced by Stoic philosophy, Buddhism, or other belief systems that emphasize acceptance and equanimity. They cognitively reframe situations in ways that don't trigger anger. When something bad happens, they think things like, everything happens for a reason, or getting angry won't change anything, or this person is acting from their own pain. This is a cognitive strategy. They're not naturally non-angry, and they're not suppressing anger. They're actively thinking about situations in ways that prevent anger from arising in the first place. The effectiveness of this approach depends on whether it's genuine acceptance or intellectual bypass. Genuine acceptance is healthy. Using philosophy to avoid feeling legitimate emotions is not. Type 4. The passive personality. Some people don't get angry because they've learned that their anger doesn't matter, won't be heard, or will be punished. This often develops in childhood. Maybe they grew up in an environment where expressing anger was dangerous. It led to punishment, rejection, or violence. So they learn to shut it down completely. Psychologically, this is a defense mechanism called learned helplessness. They've internalized the belief that their feelings don't matter, or that expressing them is futile. These people often struggle with assertiveness. They let others take advantage of them. They say yes when they want to say no. They smile when they're hurt. This isn't healthy emotional regulation. This is self-abandonment. And beneath the calm exterior, there's often deep sadness, anxiety, or depression. If you're this type, you might hear yourself saying things like, it's fine when it's really not fine, or I don't mind when you actually do mind. Type 5. The suppressor. These people do feel anger intensely, but they push it down. They deny it. They refuse to acknowledge it even to themselves. This is classic emotional suppression, and it's one of the most psychologically harmful patterns. Suppressed anger doesn't disappear. It goes underground. It shows up as passive aggression, chronic tension, unexplained physical symptoms, or sudden explosive outbursts. Research has consistently shown that emotional suppression is linked to higher rates of anxiety, depression, cardiovascular problems, and weakened immune function. These individuals often pride themselves on never getting angry, but if you look closely, you'll see signs, sarcastic comments, subtle digs, holding grudges, chronic muscle tension, stress-related illnesses. They might say, I never get angry with a sense of superiority, as if anger is beneath them. But they're paying a hidden cost. Type 6. The alexithymia is a psychological condition where people have difficulty identifying and expressing emotions. It's not that they've chosen not to feel anger. They literally struggle to recognize what they're feeling. About 10% of the population has significant alexithymia. When something anger-provoking happens, they might feel physical sensations, tension, discomfort, agitation, but they can't identify it as anger. They might describe feeling weird or off, but can't name the emotion. This isn't suppression or regulation. It's a disconnect between emotional experience and emotional awareness. This often develops from childhood emotional neglect or trauma, or it can be associated with autism spectrum conditions. If you're this type, people might accuse you of being emotionless or robotic, but the truth is you're feeling things. You just can't label or process them effectively. So what's actually happening in the brains of people who don't get angry? It depends on which type they are, but neuroscience has given us some fascinating insights. For people with naturally low anger temperaments, brain imaging shows reduced amygdala reactivity. The amygdala is your brain's threat detection system. When it perceives something as threatening or unjust, it triggers the anger response. In people who rarely get angry, the amygdala simply doesn't fire as intensely. It's like having a less sensitive alarm system. Things that set off sirens in other people's brains just trigger a gentle notification in theirs. There's also increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, the brain's rational executive control center. This region is responsible for regulating emotions, and in people with good emotional regulation, it's highly active and well connected to the amygdala. Think of it like this. The amygdala is the emotional accelerator, and the prefrontal cortex is the brake. In people who manage anger well, the brakes are strong and responsive. Research has also found differences in neurotransmitter systems. Serotonin, in particular, plays a crucial role in regulating anger and aggression. People with higher baseline serotonin levels tend to experience less anger and better impulse control. The hormone oxytocin also plays a role. Often called the bonding hormone, oxytocin increases trust and empathy, which can reduce anger responses. People who are naturally more empathetic often have different oxytocin receptor patterns. But here's something crucial. The brain is plastic. It changes based on experience. Someone who wasn't born with great emotional regulation can develop it through practice. Studies on meditation, for example, show that regular practitioners develop physical changes in their brains. Thicker prefrontal cortices, better connectivity between emotional and rational brain regions, and reduced amygdala reactivity. This means that with effort and practice, most people can train themselves to experience and manage anger more effectively. However, for people who suppress anger, the neuroscience tells a different story. Chronic suppression is associated with increased activation of stress systems, elevated cortisol levels, and over time, can actually change brain structure in harmful ways. Suppression requires constant mental effort. Your brain is working hard to keep those emotions buried, and that chronic effort creates wear and tear on your neurological systems. So the neuroscience confirms what psychology tells us. Managing anger consciously is healthy. Suppressing it is not. Let's talk about the positive side. Are there genuine benefits to not getting angry frequently? Absolutely yes, when it's the right kind of calm. Benefit 1, better physical health. Chronic anger is hard on your body. It raises blood pressure, increases stress hormones, weakens immune function, and contributes to cardiovascular disease. People who don't experience frequent anger have lower rates of heart disease, hypertension, and stress-related illnesses. Their bodies aren't constantly flooded with stress hormones. Studies have found that people with lower trait anger live longer, healthier lives. The constant wear and tear of frequent anger takes a real physical toll. Benefit 2, stronger relationships. Anger can damage relationships. Even when it's justified, frequent expressions of anger create tension, fear, and distance. People who stay calm in conflicts are better at problem solving. They can hear the other person's perspective. They can find compromise. They don't say things they'll regret later. Research consistently shows that emotional regulation, including anger management, is one of the strongest predictors of relationship satisfaction and stability. Benefit 3, better decision-making. Anger narrows your thinking. When you're angry, your prefrontal cortex, your rational brain, gets partially shut down. You see fewer options. You think in black and white. You make impulsive choices. People who don't get easily angered maintain clearer thinking even in difficult situations. They see more possibilities. They consider consequences. They make wiser decisions. Benefit 4, professional advantages. In most professional settings, staying calm under pressure is highly valued. People who don't get visibly angry are often seen as more professional, more competent, and more leadership-worthy. They're better at negotiation because they're not emotionally reactive. They're better at conflict resolution because they stay rational. They're better at customer service because they don't take things personally. Benefit 5, greater peace of mind. This might be the biggest benefit. People who don't get angry often report greater overall life satisfaction and well-being. They're not ruminating about slights and injustices. They're not replaying arguments in their heads. They're not carrying grudges. They experience more peace, more contentment, more joy. Anger is an uncomfortable emotion. Not experiencing it frequently simply feels better. Benefit 6, modeling for others. People who manage anger well become positive role models. Children who grow up with calm parents learn emotional regulation. Coworkers learn from calm colleagues. Friends learn from composed friends. You become someone others feel safe around, someone they trust, someone they turn to in crisis. But now let's talk about the other side, because not getting angry can come with significant costs, depending on why and how you're not getting angry. Risk 1. Suppressed emotions create health problems. If you're suppressing anger, rather than genuinely not feeling it or processing it healthily, you're creating serious health risks. Suppressed emotions are linked to higher rates of anxiety, depression, chronic pain, digestive issues, and autoimmune conditions. Your body keeps the score, as trauma expert Bessel van der Kolk says. When emotions can't go out through healthy expression, they go inward and create physical and psychological symptoms. Risk 2. Loss of self-advocacy. Anger, when healthy, tells you that something is wrong. It motivates you to set boundaries, stand up for yourself, and address injustice. If you never get angry, you might tolerate situations that you shouldn't tolerate. You might let people take advantage of you. You might stay in toxic relationships or jobs because you're not feeling the anger that would motivate you to leave. Some people who never get angry are actually abandoning themselves. They're so focused on staying calm that they're ignoring their own needs and rights. Risk 3. Passive aggression. When anger can't be expressed directly, it often comes out sideways. Passive aggression is suppressed anger leaking out in indirect ways. This includes sarcasm, subtle digs, forgetting to do things, chronic lateness, or giving someone the silent treatment while insisting nothing's wrong. Passive aggression is more damaging to relationships than direct, appropriately expressed anger because it's dishonest and confusing. Risk 4. Sudden explosive outbursts. People who never get angry sometimes have shocking explosions. Years of suppressed anger builds up pressure, and eventually, something relatively minor triggers a massive release. These outbursts often seem disproportionate to the triggering event because they're not just about that event. They're about everything that's been suppressed for months or years. After these explosions, the person often feels shame and doubles down on suppression, continuing the cycle. Risk 5. Disconnection from authentic self-emotions are information. They're part of who you are. If you're constantly suppressing or avoiding anger, you're disconnecting from part of your authentic emotional experience. Over time, this can lead to a sense of numbness or emptiness. You might feel like you don't really know yourself. You might struggle to access any emotions deeply. Risk 6. Enabling injustice on a social level. If no one ever got angry about injustice, nothing would ever change. Anger has driven every social justice movement in history. Anger about slavery, anger about inequality, anger about oppression. There's such a thing as righteous anger, anger at genuine injustice that motivates positive change. If you never feel this, you might become complicit in systems that harm others. Risk 7. Others may not trust you. Ironically, people who never show any anger can seem untrustworthy to others. Because anger is a normal human emotion. Someone who never displays it can seem fake, robotic, or like they're hiding something. People might wonder, do they have any strong feelings about anything? Or if they never get mad, do they really care? Appropriate anger, appropriately expressed, actually increases trust because it shows authenticity and conviction. So how do you know if your lack of anger is healthy or problematic? Here are some questions to ask yourself. Question 1. Do you feel anger but hide it, or do you genuinely not feel it? If you feel it but constantly suppress it, that's a problem. If you genuinely don't feel it due to temperament or healthy emotional regulation, that's different. Question 2. Can you stand up for yourself when needed? If you let people walk all over you, if you can't set boundaries, if you avoid necessary conflict, your lack of anger might be costing you. Question 3. Do you experience physical symptoms? Chronic headaches, digestive issues, muscle tension, unexplained pain. These can all be signs of suppressed emotions, including anger. Question 4. Do you feel numb or disconnected? If you're not just missing anger but feel disconnected from all emotions, that's a red flag. Healthy people feel the full range of emotions. Question 5. Do others accuse you of being passive-aggressive? If people say you're indirect, give them the silent treatment, or make subtle digs, you might be expressing anger in unhealthy ways rather than not feeling it. Question 6. Do you have sudden outbursts? If you go from 0 to 100, that suggests suppression rather than genuine calm. Question 7. Do you feel like you're performing calmness? If staying calm requires constant effort, if you're exhausted from it, if it feels like you're acting, that's suppression. The healthiest approach is to feel anger when it's appropriate, acknowledge it, understand what it's telling you, and then express it in constructive ways or let it go consciously. Not feeling anger inappropriately is just as problematic as feeling it excessively. Throughout history, there have been famous examples of people known for their remarkable calm and lack of visible anger. What can we learn from them? The Dalai Lama is perhaps the most famous example. Despite having every reason to be angry, his country was invaded, his people oppressed, he maintains remarkable equanimity. But here's what's important. In interviews, he's been clear that he does feel anger. He just doesn't let it control him. He acknowledges it, understands it, and then consciously chooses compassion. This is emotional regulation, not suppression. Mahatma Gandhi is another example. His philosophy of nonviolent resistance was built on not responding to injustice with anger, but with peaceful action. But Gandhi spoke and wrote about anger extensively. He felt it. He just channeled it into constructive action rather than destructive reaction. Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, was famous for his gentle, never angry demeanor. But people who knew him said he absolutely felt anger, particularly about injustices against children. He just expressed it through his work rather than through outbursts. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison and emerged without visible bitterness or rage. But he was clear in his writings that he worked very hard to process and release his anger. It wasn't absence of anger, it was transformation of anger. The pattern here? These admired calm people aren't suppressing anger, they're feeling it, processing it, and channeling it wisely. They're not emotionally dead, they're emotionally intelligent. So whether you get angry too easily or struggle to access anger at all, here are strategies for developing a healthier relationship with this important emotion. Strategy 1. Learn to identify anger. Early anger doesn't go from 0 to 100 instantly. There are early signs: tension, irritation, frustration. Learn to notice these early stages so you can address issues before they escalate. Pay attention to physical sensations: tightness in your chest, heat in your face, clenched jaw. These are your body's anger signals. Strategy 2. Pause before responding. When you feel anger rising, create space. Take 3 deep breaths. Count to 10. If possible, step away for a few minutes. This activates your prefrontal cortex and gives your rational brain a chance to come online. You're not suppressing the anger, you're giving yourself time to respond wisely rather than react impulsively. Strategy 3. Name the emotion. Research shows that simply labeling your emotions reduces their intensity. Say to yourself, "I'm feeling angry right now." This simple act of naming creates psychological distance and reduces the emotion's grip on you. Strategy 4. Ask what the anger is telling you. Anger is information. It's telling you something. Maybe a boundary was crossed. Maybe you're being treated unfairly. Maybe you need to address something. Instead of just reacting to anger or suppressing it, ask, what is this anger trying to tell me? What do I need right now? Strategy 5. Express anger. Appropriately healthy. Anger expression is assertive, not aggressive. It's saying, "I feel angry when you do X because it affects me in Y way," rather than attacking or blaming. Use I statements. Be specific about the behavior and its impact. State your needs clearly. Strategy 6. Practice reframing. Sometimes anger is based on interpretations that might not be accurate. Someone who cuts you off in traffic isn't personally attacking you. They might be rushing to an emergency. Reframing isn't suppressing. It's seeing situations more accurately, which naturally reduces unnecessary anger. Strategy 7. Develop emotional vocabulary. Many people who struggle with anger don't have the words for the nuances of what they're feeling. Are you frustrated, irritated, disappointed, hurt? Developing precise emotional vocabulary helps you understand and express feelings more effectively. Strategy 8. Set boundaries. Early. Much anger comes from repeated boundary violations. If you set and maintain clear boundaries early, you prevent the buildup of resentment and anger. Learn to say no. Communicate your limits. Don't wait until you're furious to address problems. Strategy 9. Process anger physically. Sometimes you need to discharge the physical energy of anger. Exercise, punch a pillow. Go for a hard run. This isn't about suppressing, it's about releasing the physiological arousal so you can think clearly. Strategy 10. Seek support when needed. If you struggle with explosive anger, or if you can't access anger at all, therapy can help. Particularly effective are cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavior therapy, and anger management programs. There's no shame in getting support for developing healthier emotional patterns. So here we are. We've explored the complete psychology of people who never get angry. We've learned that there are many different types, from those with genuine emotional mastery to those suppressing feelings that desperately need expression. We've seen that the absence of anger can be healthy or harmful depending on what's causing it and how it's managed. We've discovered that the goal isn't to never feel anger. It's to feel it appropriately, understand what it's telling you, and express it constructively. Anger isn't your enemy. It's not a character flaw. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's information. It's protection. It's a signal that something needs attention. The people we most admire for their calm aren't people who've killed their anger. They're people who've learned to understand it, work with it, and channel it wisely. If you never get angry, ask yourself why. Are you genuinely at peace, or are you suppressing something important? Are you emotionally intelligent or emotionally disconnected? And if you get angry too easily, know that you can develop better regulation. Your brain is plastic. With practice and support, you can change. The goal is balance. Feel your feelings, all of them, but don't be controlled by them. Acknowledge anger, listen to it, then choose your response. Before we end, I want to hear from you. Do you get angry easily or rarely? Do you know someone who never seems to get angry? And how does it affect your relationship with them? Let me know in the comments. If this video gave you insights into anger and emotional regulation, subscribe to Mind Reversed. We explore the psychology behind everyday behaviors, helping you understand yourself and others better. Hit that like button, share this with someone who could benefit from understanding anger better, and turn on notifications for our next deep dive. Remember, feeling anger doesn't make you bad. Suppressing it doesn't make you good. Understanding and working with your emotions makes you wise. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep feeling all your feelings, including anger. This is Mind Reversed. Stay curious.